So we actually don't. The session's actually over. The next thing happening is lunch. So if people feel like hanging out and talking and asking questions, I welcome you to. Unfortunately, I have to go set up the lunch. So I encourage you guys to hang out for a few minutes and talk, or chat about it while you eat.
Sure. Are you willing to appoint a moderator who could use the question?
Sure. Would you like to do it?
Actually, I wanted to ask a question, but I'd be glad to moderate.
Why don't you ask a question and then moderate?
And then moderate. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So I have two questions. This is a great session. I'm really grateful to each speaker. So my two questions are: one is for Elizabeth. Two questions for you. I wonder first if it would be helpful for us to think about the difference between oppressed and marginalized. Because vegans are not oppressed in the way that people of color are oppressed, or Native Americans or other groups, but vegans are marginalized and minorities, and I think we might be on more solid ground with that. And then I was really intrigued with your approach to microaggressions. That's so rich. There's so much there. And I was hoping you'd say more about that. And then I also wanted to ask, and then I'll moderate. You put up this really fast graphic of David Nyberg's theory of oppression, which you thought we all knew and we didn't, and then you moved on. And so I think if you hit control and plus, you can see what it is, or you could like review what it is, because you actually put up 3 models of oppression, and you were sort of, moving between them, and that's a lot to follow. So okay, there you go, and then I'll moderate.
I guess for me, and I don't come from a sociological background, so I guess I like the word oppressed. Maybe that's just my own personal thing, because I think when you're, and also having experienced racial oppression myself, and then I was vegetarian for many, many years, and when I became, which I didn't feel oppressed by that, but when I became vegan, I had experiences that reminded me, that were reminiscent of earlier oppressions I had felt, being called change Jap and things like that. And so I guess the term marginalized doesn't feel, I don't know, for me, there's something almost sterile or something antiseptic about that term. I guess I'm not using the term as a no, but I guess to me, I like it when theory seems to really go hand in hand with what I feel are lived experiences. And so for me personally, when someone does something that feels oppressive, I just call it, I'm being oppressed. So perhaps it's not, using the actual technical definition that's used in a certain discipline. So I guess that's it. And about microaggressions, I don't know, we could go on and share all the little things that just, make it difficult to navigate the world in, what you think is a normal way. And is that your term? No. It's a term that I don't want to open my Mac again, but Daryl Wing Su has written, I believe, a whole book on that, and I looked at studies he's done looking at microaggressions, both with, I think he talked about it with Asians, with blacks, and other racial groups. So David Wing Su, book on microaggression. It's phenomenal.
We have just a follow-up, and then the next 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
It's hard to see. Do you want me to throw that up there again?
David Nyberg's theory of oppression.
Yeah. Do you want me to throw the image up again?
Or you could just briefly review it, because it was a circle, and circles presuppose anterior, some sort of chronology theory, which IndraSnet doesn't. That's simultaneous, that's dependent origination.
Right. So first of all, I apologize for that. Part of this was me trying to figure out how I could get said what I needed to say in a short period of time. So I cut things out, and maybe that was the place to cut. All right, so David Nyberg's theory of oppression. Essentially, this is why I like Carol's image of the tree with sort of the economic oppression really being at the foundation of that. Because what David Nybert argues, and feel free those of you who know him to jump in, is that essentially you have the beginning of exploitation begins with the desire to control economic resources, right, and then to preserve that elite that has access to that. Right? So what happens is that social arrangements then follow that are developed based on that oppressive treatment, and those social arrangements are backed by state power. And I'm just kind of reading through this, right? That then leads to the construction of ideologies like sexism, racism, speciesism, which then it is from those ideologies that prejudice arises. And then ultimately, prejudice becomes commonplace, naturalized, part of the status quo, and that then reinforces the elite control of those resources. That's essentially how that works. And part of this is his attempt to explain why we don't begin with prejudice, right? That prejudice is a result of certain socially constructed ideologies.
My question. I find that one of the most pervasive forms of racism is there's a sort of an emotional racism that materializes out of thin air. Like, for instance, the N-word is basically based on the Latin word for the word black. The N-word has, no, forward meaning at all. It's derived from a word that means a color. But it's been used as a powerful weapon to harm innocent people. When we talk about fried chicken, I think that was actually invented by white people, but white people eat it. In fact, I'm vegan. Vegan fried chicken is one of my favorite foods. So a lot of the most hurtful things just materialize out of thin air. My question is it really a good idea to use these comparisons, even though they're well done? I could even add my own. But when many African Americans are offended by comparisons to non-human animals, and no matter how well done the comparison is made, I think it's sort of maybe adding to this element of, it's sort of accidentally piggybacking to the atmosphere of emotional harm that materializes out of thin air that African Americans in particular have suffered for a very long time.
Yeah, I think that I'm very aware of the sensitive nature of this, and for me, what I was really trying to do is just to say, how can I put it? I like for us to have language that can reflect our experiences, and I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel. I think there are terms out there that perhaps can reflect it. I mean, people can disagree with that. I don't know. This is something that I'm exploring myself right now. I think that it's really important to be very careful about how one does it. And I don't think that we want to be cavalier about it. I think we have to proceed very cautiously. But I personally don't want to draw a line and say we cannot go across this line. At least we should talk about the line. That's sort of my.
I thought it was really refreshing. Lisa, you have a slide.
Thank you.
I want to say that, I'll start. I don't have a question for Jeff, but I thought that really opened my eyes. I think that comparison between euthanasia and humane meat is really fascinating. But I just want to talk about the comments that have just been said and about Elizabeth's paper. That I think that marginalization might be more appropriate. I actually agree with that, and I think that to me, when I'm interpreting as some of the oppression that you're feeling is maybe actual other oppression. So the example of your friend seems to be part of a hetero patriarchal oppression that was linked to a vegan marginalization rather than her being oppressed for veganism. Why does she have a husband that she has to grocery shop for and buy food she doesn't want to buy? So I think that if you can pull out actual oppressions that veganism is not an oppression, but intersects with oppression, that